You have delegates across Africa and from outside the continent. Formally opens a conference in Kigali, the Rwandan capital, today that was centered on raising the level of technology that's involved in agriculture and food production on the continent. Now let's hear from some of the speakers that include Nigeria's former president, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan.
Here, we must recognize that Africa stands at a historic crossroads. On one road lies the continued struggle with food insecurity anchored on underutilized land, limited use of innovative technologies, and fragmented markets. On the other lies a bold vision, one that beholds Africa as a global powerhouse in food and nutritional security, powered by innovation, partnerships, and transformative investments. With the projected growth in our population, we have no choice but to increase food production in Africa. For these opening remarks, let me just make brief comments on some selected areas. Africa's agricultural potential. Our great continent, Africa, is home to 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land. The continent boasts of diverse agroecological zones, a growing youthful population, and a rich heritage of farming and food systems. And indeed, if you look at the ecological zones in Africa that the agroecological zones follow, Africa is actually blessed. There are some continents that almost the whole continent have almost the same geography. If you take my country, Nigeria alone, you move from the mangroves forest in the coastal area, through the rain forest, through the Guinea savanna, the Sudan savanna, the Sahel savanna, and the semi-desert. And all these zones produce different crops. If you come to Eastern Africa, of course, the savannas, the mountain vegetations, and so on and so forth. You hardly see a continent that has that kind of diversity in terms of the agroecology. But so for Africa, we must really work hard and ensure that young people are brought in to improve agriculture. The role of technology. The future of agriculture on our continent is intricately tied to our ability to embrace and scale up available and emerging technologies. I'm quite pleased that in this program there are a lot of demonstrations of various technologies that will be very useful. Regional collaboration through platforms such as the African Union, the Economic Community of West African States, COMESA, and the African Continental Free Trade Area must be strengthened to unlock inter-Africa trade, reduce tariffs on agricultural inputs, and harmonize standards for regulation and management of food products. The imperative of sustained investment. For far too long, agricultural investment in Africa has been sporadic, short-termed, and donor-dependent. This narrative must change. We must view investment in agriculture not as aid, but as a strategic economic imperative. Africa's agricultural transformation will require bold, long-term financing from both domestic and international sources. Government must fulfill and go beyond their commitments under the Maputo and Malabo declarations, which proposes allocation of at least 10% of national budgets to agriculture. Private investment must be incentivized through clear policies, risk guarantees, and public-private partnership developed. Development finance institutions must innovate financing models that work for smallholder farmers and agripreneurs. This will encourage young people to go into agriculture.
ACAT 2025 focuses on farmer-centric innovation. This means solutions designed with and for farmers, thus addressing the real-world challenges they face daily. The Agritech we are talking about ranges from smart irrigation to digital extension tools. The future of African agriculture must be practical, inclusive, and grounded in farmer realities. Allow me to reiterate that innovation must go hand in hand with investments, partnerships, and stewardship to make sure that investments are sustainable. It is only through collaborative action and sustainable approaches that we can scale Agritech solutions and reach every last mile. Here in Rwanda, we are proud to host this conference as a part of our ongoing commitment to agricultural transformation. We believe that by putting farmers first, embracing technology, and protecting our environment, we can shape a food, secure, resilient, and prosperous Africa.